Alright, this is lesson 2.3 and we are going to be solving multi-step equations. But last week, the first thing you learned, or first thing you reviewed, was how to solve a one-step equation. And in a one-step equation, you solve it with one step. This is the variable. You're trying to get the x all by itself, so you get rid of the plus 13 by doing the opposite, which is minus 13. And remember, we focused on showing each step clearly and neatly. So what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Plus 13 and minus 13 cancel. You're left with x equals 14 minus 13 is 1. And then we moved on to two-step equations, and remember, in two-step equations you were working through the order of operations in reverse. So here's the variable. We're going to work through the order of operations in reverse and look for any addition and subtraction. There's a subtraction or a minus 3, so we do the opposite and add 3. What you do on one side, you do on the other side. And there's the first step. So minus 3 and plus 3 cancel. You're left with 2x. And 15 plus 3 equals 18. Now that we've done addition and subtraction, we look for multiplication and division. There is a multiplication times 2. Opposite of multiplication is divide by 2, and what you do on one side, you do on the other side. The 2's cancel. You're left with x. 18 divided by 2 is 9, and that's your answer. Remember, your answer is x equals 9, not just 9. Okay, so let's move on to multi-step equations. The only difference in a multi-step equation is there's more than two steps. It's a multi-step. And so we're just going to add a little bit to the addition and subtraction part of the reverse order of operations, and that is to add like terms. So in this problem, when you're solving for n, first thing you're going to do is look for like terms on either side of the equation. And on this side we have 2n plus n. And because they both have an n, those are like terms. Remember, whenever you have a single letter by itself, there's an implied 1 in front of it. And when you add like terms, 2n plus 1n, you simply add the coefficients or the number parts together. 2 plus 1 is 3. So the first step is to make the 2n plus 1n equal to 3n. And then you write out the rest of the problem. And now it just looks like a two-step problem, which you did last week. So we're going to circle the variable term, work through the order of operations backwards, look for addition and subtraction. There is an addition of 5 plus 5, so we do the opposite. Minus 5. What you do on one side, you do on the other side. Plus 5 and minus 5 cancel. You're left with 3n. 11 minus 5 is 6. So we've done the addition and subtraction. Now we're going to look for multiplication and division. There is a multiplication, 3 times n. Opposite of multiplication is division. So I divide both sides by 3. Six divided by 3 is 2. And you're done. Now in this problem, there is another step before we can add or subtract or multiply or divide, and that is to distribute. So we're going to take the negative 8 and distribute that to each term inside the parentheses. Negative 8 times r is negative 8r. And negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. And that's still equal to 64. So the extra step in this problem isn't adding like terms, it's distributing the negative 8. And now this problem is just a two-step problem. We're going to work through the order of operations backwards, and we're going to look for any addition and subtraction. So in this case it's plus a negative 16, so I'm going to add 16, and what I do on one side, I do on the other side. And let's go ahead and write that the right way. I'm going to add 16 to both sides. Okay, negative 16 and positive 16 cancel. I'm left with 8, or negative 8r. 64 plus 16 is 80. And now I look for multiplication or division. Negative 8 is being multiplied by r, so I do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing. And I'm going to divide by negative 8. Negative 8's cancel. 80 divided by negative 8 is negative 10. Now I want to go back here for a second. Notice this negative 8r. It's negative 8 times r. And oftentimes people will see the negative 8 and get rid of it by trying to add 8. So make sure you notice the operation between the negative 8 and the r is multiplication, not subtraction.